Ladies and gentlemen, I am Star-Lord Nuthor 7, your planetary defense commander. And apparently I've been doing a horrible job because we're day 3 into this 90-day Great American Disaster period. And people are no closer to working together than they were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, I apologize, but let's get to volcanoes. Because for a while, I'm one of the few who talks about them. Although science says, no matter what, volcano activity is always average and normal. I've been disagreeing. And sometimes even predicting the volcanoes properly. Today, we have yesterday, Mount Etna erupted. So, Mount Etna is in Italy. And coincidentally enough, and I want to remind you that I have to cover hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, and that people are going to die. And I have to maintain my sense of humor, and it is never in disrespect for the dead. But coincidentally, around the same time the volcano was erupting, Italy had a big storm. And that big storm caused a giant elevated bridge and highway in Italy to collapse. And people died on that highway because, as you can see, it's 150 feet off the ground. And the storm that went through there tore the bridge to shreds. So I'm not saying that the volcano caused this, but I think that somehow the really weird weather and the really big storm that hit Italy was probably somehow connected or correlated to the volcano, because when I predicted that the volcano in Hawaii would erupt, Kaluuya, it was after Hawaii got 50 inches of rain. And I was like, oh my God, that volcano is going to explode. And it did. So I correlate the sun and grand solar minimum to volcanoes. We are now seeing, what was it? We haven't had sunspots in how many days? Quite a few. And so science doesn't agree with me, but remember, science told you that smoking was good for you for a long time. You hear me? So, yeah, we might have our new sunspot after sunspot days, but the sun has been pretty inactive. We've had giant coronal holes. Why does that aurora look weird? Anyway, so we have another volcano eruption. Shocking moment. Italian Mount Etna erupts off the coast of Sicily. Italy spits out lava. Active stratovolcano is between the cities of Messina and Catania. So, I know I'm a bit frustrated because, like I said, now is a great time for people to be working together to figure out where the safe spots are on planet Earth and to start to work together to make it through this very challenging period we have ahead. But, it seems like our governments are coordinating to throw out chum in the water to distract people. And so people aren't really paying attention. So we have a Mount Etna erupting. We have storms tearing across all continents, really. We've had major, massive flooding all up and down the east coast of the United States. Today, scientists announced they just found 250 cubic miles of magma under California. And they said small volcano eruptions are possible in California. So that was that. It's fascinating. It's all fascinating news. We've got a lot of doomy news today. And so I'm trying to keep up with it while we're trying to maintain my sanity. And you can decide for yourself. That's all I do, is I provide you the information and I give you my opinion and what I think, but I leave it up to you to decide what you want to decide. And so you can decide. Was the Mount Etna eruption and the big storm in Italy, were they connected? Did they have anything to do with each other? Scientists, professional scientists, continue to tell me that volcanoes do not affect temperature or the atmosphere or the weather. But most of the scientists are paid way, 1,000 times better than I am. So usually you tell people what your employer tells you to tell people. So this kicked on over to Hawaii. We don't know. Hawaii's actual volcano has gone down in activity in the last 2 weeks because we think the pressure is moving. Let's get a pressure map, shall we? So we think the pressure is shifting, as the Earth tilts, pressure shifts. And I want to recommend, and, I think volcanoes have effects on earthquakes, for sure. I want to recommend Suspicious Observers for space weather and earthquakes on YouTube, and Dutch Synths, although I think Dutch Synths left YouTube and is now on Twitch, but both of those two guys are really great at earthquakes, and then Suspicious Observers is great at covering space weather. And then there's the Grand Solar Minimum channel, who also covers the effects of the Grand Solar Minimum. Mr. BB333 is great at covering a little bit of everything. Same with Dabu Synths, or Dabu 7, covers a little bit of everything. BP Earthwatch, I highly recommend all of his Earth and space stuff, though the political stuff I don't get into, man. I like I said, I think our governments are distracting us as they prepare to go to their bunkers and safe spots. So they just throw out distraction stories every single day. You've literally got So, that's high pressure. And then, as you can see, there's a bit of activity. We're worried about the hurricane season. Possible if the wind shear lifts. But these are challenging times. If you'll notice, this is low pressure. So, around Italy, you have low pressure, high pressure, middle zone convergence. And then you had Popocatépetl erupt 2 times, I think, in the last week. And then Guatemala erupted again in the last week. So it's about to get interesting. Or it's already really interesting and fascinating. Let's be done with this video. Or just go over the basic headlines. Enormous tragedy, bridge collapses in powerful storm. That's Italy, Florida. The algae's killing everything. The wildfires in California are just through the roof. Oh, and I was mentioned, usually when the coronal holes face us, we see bigger uptick in volcanoes and earthquakes. Which in my mind is true. Science will be like, well, no, that's not true. Like I said, how much do you trust your government these days? I might be a little frustrated because covering all this stuff and then trying to maintain all my bills at the same time and then being under heavy fire from just the outside, sometimes it gets frustrating, I don't know if you know this, being Planetary Defense Commander is not always a fun job, especially here in 2018. And people might be like, I don't like you. And I'm like, you know what? There's 7 billion people on the planet. My King of Kings and Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, not everybody liked him, man. So I'm doing what I can to help people and bring people together. Like I said, I may not be doing that great of a job because everybody hates everybody and everybody's fighting all the time. And nobody wants to improve anything and nobody believes in creating stuff better than the stuff was created in the 40s. So make of it what you will. But yeah, so the whole West Coast is on fire. And like I said, we are watching for possible volcanic activity up the mountain range as we notice Guatemala to Popocatépetl as it seems to climb. And so I'm just keeping you updated. If you want to support THORNEWS, I'll leave a PayPal link at the bottom. And I love you guys. So I may be moody because I do this every day. And like I said, it's a bit stressful. So just try and bear with me if you can. But if you can't, I understand. Okay? Stay cool. God bless everyone. Oh, one last thing. If you want to, just a little tip. Somebody said I looked up you said Etna erupted, but I can't find anything on it. What you got to do is you got to reduce this thing to the past 24 hours. Because if you do any time, notice how I put in Etna volcano. And then nothing, one little thing comes up. But, so I had to really reduce it to the last 24 hours to get all the good stories to choose from. At times, it's like governments don't want us thinking about volcanoes, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? It's totally crazy. Totally crazy. Oh, one other thing. Man. I've been having crazy dreams lately. Has anybody else been having crazy dreams? Although yesterday's dream was cool. I dreamed I hung out with Willie Nelson felt like a couple days. And me and him and a third party I won't mention sang songs together. It was really nice. But it was the weird at the end, this woman, next to his tour bus, a woman knocked over his whole tour bus with her hand. I was like, wow, that woman is powerful. But I already knew women were powerful. Women are a lot like volcanoes. Like if your volcano is happy and chill and kind of dormant and satisfied, you're usually happy, chill, dormant, satisfied. If your volcano is erupting with anger, lava, magma, gas, you're usually got some problems you got to take care of, you know? So the reds are the volcanoes that are erupted in the last few days or weeks. The last time Etna erupted was January 2017. So that is, what, 20 months ago? Yeah, so like I've been saying, we're seeing quite a bit of new volcano activity. Although science disagrees with me. They say it's basically average all the time. Totally normal. Totally normal. It's all totally normal. You know? So that's interesting. And so yeah, you had a 4.6 earthquake in Italy. Hey, wow, imagine that. Aleutian Islands, 41411, and the earthquake activity has been kind of popping off lately. So these are crazy times. I recommend you be good to your friends, your family. Spend a little more time on trying to enjoy life. I don't know, if you're one of those people who worked at a real job and has 401k and savings and all that shit, you may want to take like 10% of it, spend it now on stuff that you enjoy, like food, a motorcycle, take a vacation. Because at the rate we're going, I don't see civilization standing for another 5 years. You know, we got to make major changes together and work as a team, but nobody wants to do that. So I'd definitely spend more effort having fun now. Okay? Everybody stay cool. Did I mention if you want to support THORNEWS, you can? PayPal link? Okay, cool. Peace out. God bless everyone.